Hello there, I am Sneaky Wiki, and today I have a bit of a different video for you. During the month of June, Star Wars Battlefront is free for people owning PS Plus. Because of this, servers are now flooded with new players. I saw this as the perfect opportunity to make a lightsaber duel tutorial. So here we are. I will cover defense, dash strategies, common mistakes, and some general tips and tricks. Without any further ado, here are some tips and tricks any Jedi need to know before heading out to the battle. Star Wars Battlefront 2's lightsaber duels are all about managing resources. You have stamina, abilities, dodges, and health. All of these stats will completely regen, besides health, which has a maximum to which it will regen. Every hero has their own stats and abilities. Knowing these stats and abilities of yourself, but also your opponent, can give you a huge advantage in combat. Unlike most other games, Star Wars Battlefront duels can take multiple minutes. Because of this, the best offense is a really good defense. If you are facing off with someone, you're going to want to hold the block button at all time, even when swinging your lightsaber. While blocking, you are not invincible. Block breaking abilities and attacks from behind can still hurt you. Use your dodges and turn around to make sure you don't get hit by those attacks. You don't have infinite stamina. At some point it's going to run out. Make sure you catch it before that happens. Because if your stamina runs out, you can no longer block nor attack. Once your stamina gets low, let go of the block button. Your stamina will not regen as long as you keep trying to block. While your block is down, you're vulnerable, but you're not defenseless. By using dashes or abilities, you can buy yourself time to regen your stamina. While dueling, you have to constantly look for gaps in the defense of your opponent. Most of the time, you have to force these gaps yourself, but your opponent will be doing the same thing. For both offense and defense, your dashes are really important. Mastering your dashes takes a lot of practice, which is something I can't replace. However, I can show you a couple of dash strategies that will help you out. First, we have my go-to defensive dash. If an opponent is trying to attack you, you can dash straight forward through your opponent in order to buy yourself quite a bit of time. Next up is the simplest offensive dash. If you are standing right in front of your opponent, you simply dash straight forward through your opponent, turn around and hit him in the back. Once your opponent catches on, they will start following you more quickly, but we can actually make use of that using the next two dash strategies. First, you do the same thing as before, but instead of turning, you dash straight back and hit the opponent. Now it is time to make it a bit more difficult. For this next one, you're going to want to dash to the left of your opponent, dash straight right, turn to your left and hit your opponent. And this can of course be mirrored. Last but not least is a counter strategy for the first offensive dashing strategy I showed you. If someone is trying to get behind you, you can counter attack by dashing backwards and hitting right in front of you. One of these dash strategies isn't gonna get you very far, but by combining multiple and keeping up the pressure, you are bound to get through your opponent's block at some point. If you combined everything I've told you so far, you can get fights that look a bit like this.
You don't mean me any harm.
Alright, now that we have gone over all the basics, it's time to go to some general tips. First, I will cover a few mistakes that a lot of new players will make. First off, I often see players pushing the attack despite having just lost loads of health. Once you lose a lot of health and your opponent is still in fighting condition, back off, play defensive and regen your health. The complete opposite is quite common as well. People back off despite just having gotten a hit, basically giving the opponent time to regen. Once you have gotten a hit without taking any damage yourself, push your offense. If the hero you are playing at the moment has a block breaking ability, this is the perfect opportunity to use it. This way you can deal more damage than your opponent can regen in one go, and stall their regen at the same time. The next mistake is even common among higher players. People tend to spam all their abilities right at the start of the game. If you do this, your opponent tends to just block and you lose all of your abilities. Instead of spamming abilities as soon as they become available, you should save them for when you actually need them. For the final common mistake, people tend to jump whenever they are in trouble. But if your opponent still has a knockdown ability, this can go south very quickly. Skilled players can also jump attack to get you in midair. Simple solution, try to avoid jumping. Once you have got all of this down, I still have a couple more tips and tricks to get you close to the pros. First off, if you hit the attack button right as your opponent hits your block, you can actually perform a counter. This counter will deal damage to your opponent while keeping you safe. However, it does drain a lot of stamina. This strategy works really well against attack spammers and can get you some quick kills. As you may have noticed, this game contains a lot of quick turns. Because of this, a really high sensitivity can mean the difference between a win and a loss. I recommend playing with a sensitivity of 80 or higher. Most of the pros will be using 100. Next up is another trick that requires a bit of time. By performing a dash right before you get hit by a force ability, you can completely negate its effect. This is really useful for closing gaps quickly. And if you truly master this skill, you can even dodge attacks that you didn't see coming at all, just on sound alone. My final trick is dangerous and can easily get you killed if you don't know what you're doing. You use this trick if your opponent is dead set on blocking and he doesn't want to attack you. Get into striking range of your opponent, then turn around showing your back. As soon as he tries to attack you, dash backwards so you're behind him, and now you can hit him in the back. For this last trick, but also a lot of others, it can be really useful to know what abilities your opponent has available at any time. In order to acquire this knowledge, you simply learn the cooldown of some dangerous abilities and keep track of when your opponent used them last. Now that you know everything that you need to know, there's one more step to getting good, and that's practice. Get out there and have some fun. If you think you need private training, hit me up on PlayStation. My account name is on screen right now. If you thought this video was useful, leave a like and consider subscribing. This was the first time recording my voice and it took a long time. If you got any feedback, put it in the comments below. For anyone who's interested, I will leave the background gameplay going. But for now, thanks for watching. For anyone who's still watching, I have one more thing to say. The average Battlefront player really isn't that good, especially nowadays. So once you know what you're doing, the key to getting that sweet first place is just play aggressive. Go get it. You got this.
Such a freak. Body count Dooku is on a royal rampage. The only counting today will be these stacks of bodies Dooku's reign of terror has left behind.